Welcome back to Encyclopedia.Zone. My name is Don Jolly. I am a freelance writer whose work has appeared in Knights of the Dinner Table magazine, as well as Penthouse. And this is lovely Austin, Texas. This is the final destination of the Encyclopedia.Zone road trip, which Kobold and myself have been undertaking for the last week. I want to thank everybody who helped us out along the way. Adam and Thor, Digibro, Zero Cool in Atlanta, Alessandro Echevarria, the graphic designer for Encyclopedia.Zone, who... excuse me, who hosted a lovely going away party for me in Brooklyn. Tim McKiernan, Aaron Watts, Chris West, all the Gorefest players, all my friends in New York, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful experience, once in a lifetime thing, and we're down here in Austin with a purpose. Like, I'm getting a part-time job. We're putting some money into it, and we're going to start print publishing efforts hopefully by the end of the year. So everybody out there watching on YouTube, get excited because there's a lot more Encyclopedia Zone coming in a lot of different formats. We're going to really try to push this thing. We got some unfinished business first, though. We got to wrap up this road trip. So let's hand it off to Kobold, who's going to talk about the first leg of the journey.
So, my first stop was with Adam and Thor down in Cleveland, the East Mantown Sound System, and I gotta say, I have never in my life felt more welcome, even with my own family, than with Adam and Thor, you know? It was really, truly one last Midwestern hurrah. We spent the night eating fine cheeses and smoking premium cigarettes only, and, you know, they showed me around downtown Cleveland, which was much trendier than I expected it would be, you know? It's a strange town, you know, because you go block to block and there's brand new modernist bars, and then there's just a whole hollowed out husk, and it's a strange city, but it's very reflective of the Midwest losing its industry, and I'm really glad I was able to stop in, and even more glad I was able to meet Adam and Thor in person. From there, that's when I went on to pick up Don in New York, and you know, I gotta say, I expected to be more awed by New York City skyline, but I think I was just a little too stressed out driving into it. Maybe it's more impressive if you're not the one driving. I also expected New York to smell much worse, but I think I was on my 16th consecutive Nat Sherman by the time I got into the city, so I wasn't smelling much of anything. But you know, Don, if nothing else, proved that he is an absolute stellar New York street hustler. I ended up with a parking spot, no parallel parking, directly across from his apartment, which was great. I don't know, you want to talk about our time in New York, Don?
Yeah, okay. So, like, Kobold showed up, you know, basically, like, in New York, I have really good friends, I have, like a good infrastructure, but I've been undocumented for about 3 years. I have no form of valid government identification. The State Department tells me that my birth certificate was forged, so I may not officially have been born. So I've been working crappy under-the-table jobs, and when I can't get crappy under-the-table jobs, I starve. And so I was living a very chaotic lifestyle. And so Kobold showed up, and I was not ready to move. Kobold, like, whipped my shit into shape. We got everything in boxes. We got everything out of there. We got everything cleaned out. We made everything nice for the roommates. And then we went and hung out with all of my good friends in New York to kind of say goodbye because I'm going to be gone for a minute. So we got to go book shopping with Doug Skinner, who's an excellent cartoonist. And,
that is something I will personally never forget. That was really an honor.
Why don't you talk about going book shopping with Doug Skinner?
Well, I mean, it was just great to meet Doug Skinner, who's a fantastic cartoonist. If you read, he was in Dagger, the Dagger #1.
He was in Weirdo, R. Crumb's Weirdo magazine. He's just published a lot over the years. He has a lot of books available at Black Scat Press if you search for it on Amazon.
Yeah, and you know, he was also a close friend of John Keel, which most people don't even know who John Keel is, so it was really interesting to be able to talk to someone who knew him personally. And, you know, and he was just a great guy, really. It's definitely, book shopping with Doug Skinner is something I'm never going to forget, you know? And the book, out of everything in Manhattan, the bookshops, I think, were probably my favorite thing. Because it's, like, so many fucking books, man. Like, it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Well, and they're so cheap. It's like, I buy only $1.50 books. I'm getting all the classics.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting all the good shit.
But then we went down to a going away party for Don in what was that?
Bushwick.
Bushwick, and that was very strange, you know, because I mean the space that the loft apartment it was in was very cool. You know, it's not like any place I've ever been, but walking through Bushwick is very strange because you get this feeling that most of the posted advertisements are not advertisements so much as these like obtuse flexes on other advertisement agencies. It's very strange. But from there, we went on down to Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we missed much in New York there, right?
No,
we met up with a couple friends too from the zone. So,
yeah. But yeah, we went down to Virginia and we hung out with Digibro and we shot a bunch of content.
Yeah. So
yeah, we went down to Virginia and we met up with Digibro and we shot one of the road trip videos. We also shot an interview podcast. We did the Crypto Miku podcast. We're going to link all these in the description, and a long discussion of putting the film Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris in context. So it was amazing to spend time with Digi, who is a very skilled and perceptive poster and user of the internet. And you know, this is kind of the theme of this trip in a bunch of different ways. Has been like the whole trip was possible because we basically made connections with people on the internet and then like actualize those connections. And I'm kind of seeing how the internet looks from the other side of the screen, right? Like how various parts of the virtual world are now like colonizing the real world. And Digi's particular part of it was very fucking cool. It's basically like living inside of /A, like when you're hanging out with this guy, because he's got, you know, all the posters and all the stuff on the walls. Like he's living in the anime internet, colonizing the real world. And like if you can't appreciate the fucking cyberpunk beauty of a thing like that, then I don't know what to tell you. It was a singular experience, and thank you so much, Digi, for doing it. And I'm really proud of all the content we produced, because that's the other thing is Digi is very fucking productive, which is an incredibly important lesson to learn if you want to make stuff on the internet. It's a lesson I need to learn, lesson you need to learn, lesson everybody needs to learn, and Digibro is an example to us all. So yeah, where do we go from Virginia? We went to Atlanta.
Atlanta,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah. You want to talk about Atlanta or?
no, man, it's all you.
Okay, so next we went down to Atlanta to meet up with our friend Zero Cool from the Zone. He's an excellent music producer, excellent poster, and just a great guy to hang out with. And he had set it up so that we were staying in this place that used to be it used to be a recording studio. A lot of prominent artists had recorded there, and it was just a very posh, very comfortable surrounding. I felt immediately uncomfortable because I was dressed like a New York street bum. In New York, you know, I know I put on the collared shirts on the channel, but like, you know, I've been living a very chaotic lifestyle, and all of my clothes, including those nice collared shirts that you see on the YouTube, were scavenged out of trash cans. So, you know, I stepped into this place and I was immediately like, oh man, I don't belong here. And Kobold felt something similar, I think.
A little bit,
yeah. A little bit, but on a lesser scale. So like, we stopped off at Ross and we got these fucking threads because I have to try and integrate into polite society again.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. We stopped off at Ross. We had some light internet drama, which we pushed through. And then we went and saw Joker, and that's the Atlanta Night Drive video that you've seen. And we watched Hackers on a projection screen off of Putlocker.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Putlocker. Road trip brought to you by Putlocker and Nat Sherman's. It was just a great time hanging out with Zero. And once again, it's like, you know, people have this trepidation about like actualizing relationships on the internet, right? But if you do it right and you find the right people, it's a beautiful fucking thing. And that's what this was. This was a beautiful experience. And, you know, I left Georgia with my spirit meter high.
Yeah.
Next stop, Louisiana, which I think Kobold should talk about.
Yeah, so I don't know how to put this gently. I fucking hate Louisiana. It's very rare that someone tries to kill you for no fucking reason, but someone did try to run us off the road in Louisiana. If you follow Don on Twitter, that wasn't a joke. I can't tell you why. Maybe it was the anime stickers on the back of the Vibe. Maybe it was the out-of-state plates. But someone did change lanes and rear-end us in the back driver's side quarter panel for no fucking reason, and then drove past us with a smile and a wave. So he did try to kill us, but as I've heard in the South, everyone is very polite about trying to fucking kill you for no reason. I don't know. If you're in Louisiana, just do whatever you can to get out of there. You don't deserve to live in that hell. But in general, it's a bizarre place because you see this extreme poverty left over from Katrina, I would assume, and then you see these chemical plants that just sprawl onto the horizon, and you look on the other side of the freeway, and there's these fucking massive Las Vegas-style casinos with these grand marquees, and you get the feeling that every single corner of this state is out to fuck you, you know? And I don't know, if you're in Louisiana and you really like it, I'm glad for you, but if you can get out, I would.
Yeah. So after Louisiana, I mean, I don't feel that intense about Louisiana. Also, we were driving through Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Well, I had more homeless people approach me in Lake Charles than in New York.
Well, yeah, but that's because you were hanging out with me, and I look homeless already, so they don't hit me up.
Oh, okay, there we go.
They don't hit me up. Excuse me. But after Louisiana, we headed down to Texas, and we showed up in Austin, and it has been a whirlwind 3 days. We've only been in town 3 days. Been seeing a lot of people, meeting a lot of people, and I've just been trying to set up all the stuff that we need set up. Get an apartment, get some part-time jobs, get some steady money coming in, go to the Kinokuniya Japanese bookstore.
Every day.
Every day. I've been 3 times. I've been in town 3 days. Kinokuniya bookstore, amazing. The best. Giant Pushkin plushes. Weirdo drawing anatomy books where you learn how to do like anime poses.
An entire shelf of Osumatsu-san.
An entire shelf of Osumatsu-san. You want to talk about Kinokuniya?
I mean, you just have to experience it. There's nothing you can do but experience Kinokuniya. In fact, I would say you don't go to Kinokuniya. You experience it. It's fantastic. It's like Barnes & Noble, but if you're a degenerate weeb. And it's very strange to live in a city where there's a degenerate weeb store, you know? It's great.
Well, and I've been in cities where there are degenerate weeb stores. I've spent my life at degenerate weeb stores as a degenerate weeb myself. But Kinokuniya is a really nice degenerate weeb store that is like clean and organized, and they sell contemporary literature, but their contemporary literature section is about the same size as their yaoi section. And finding that in the middle of Texas, you know, like look.
To be fair, the yaoi section is in the back corner with no lights.
The yaoi section is in the back corner with no lights, but you know.
But it's there.
But it's there. I mean, I haven't been living in Austin for 7 years. That's how long I've been gone. And people tell me that the place has changed, and it has, but if that change means open, nice, airy presentation for yaoi, then sign me up. You know, as a staunchly heterosexual man, I celebrate the advancement of the Japanese erotic arts into the American mainstream because it means that shit in 20 years is going to look really fucking weird. It's going to look really fucking weird. The boomers aren't going to know how to deal with it. And if you're on the internet, you've already got a fucking leg up on how to navigate the incoming yaoi hell of the 21st century. So, thanks Kinokuniya for showing me the fucking future. There we go. All right, so one other experience I've had in the last 3 days is, so I said that I was undocumented. In New York, I had tried to get the New York City ID card, which everybody told me, like, that's the lowest level ID you can get. But I didn't have any current, you know, photo documentation. So, I would talk to people. I would go to, like, the WIC offices, the social services people, the guy with the like booth in the library that's there to help you out if you're poor, and they would always refer me to some other person who would put me on a wait list, who would tell me to fill out these forms and then give them to this person, and like it would just turn into this whole runaround. And eventually I decided, like, you know, fuck it, I'm living outside of the mainstream economy anyway. I just want to be an unperson. I want to be as anonymous as I can possibly be, with the exception of having some good mutuals on Twitter. But actually, that's not true because I just started the Twitter recently. But, you know, like I basically was living like an anonymous, disconnected life. I wasn't interfacing with the official economy at all. And partially that was because I think the official economy is a sick engine that makes poison and bombs, and partially because it was such a fucking pain in the ass to get my driver's license or get some kind of photo identification from the city of New York. Especially because I didn't have an address because I was living in various undocumented situations. So I come back to Texas and I tell myself, like, okay, this is going to be, you're going to have to bite the bullet. It's going to be fucking weeks of work, but you got to get the ball rolling and get your documents back. You got to get a Texas ID card. And I thought it was going to be this big fucking thing. I go into the Texas ID office. I've got all the documents that I'm supposed to have. I've got a affidavit that says I live in Texas. I've got all of the you know, the necessary forms filled out. I've got my social security card and my birth certificate, which, you know, another copy of my birth certificate. And I go in to the DMV. Everybody told me I was going to wait all day. I show up at 9 in the morning, and I've got my expired Texas driver's license, which is the last form of semi-official photo identification I have. It expired in 2016, which is the year that America expired, as far as I'm concerned. But I've got this expired driver's license 2016, and I'm sitting there filling out the forms. I go to the bathroom. I come back. I can't find the driver's license in my pocket. I can't find it on the chair. I'm turning everything upside down. I can't find this fucking driver's license. And my heart falls into the pit of my stomach. I'm like, this is it. This is the last thing. There's no way for me to get a photo ID again. This whole project is fucked. I'm not going to be able to rejoin polite society. I gotta go lay down on the fucking train tracks and get my head cut off. Like, that's my option. And then they call my number. I go up to the front. I give the lady all my documents. She says, do you have your expired ID? I say, no, ma'am, I lost it. I lost it here in the place. You can see that I put my driver's license number on the form. I set it down on my chair. I don't know what happened. The driver's license is gone. And she goes, that sucks. Anyway, stand up. Let me take your picture. And now I've got a Texas ID card. So I couldn't do it in New York for a year and a half. I settled it in Texas in about 2 hours. And then I went and ate a bunch of Mexican food with Max McDermott. And we told funny stories about drug addicts. So, feeling good.